Hey everybody, welcome to episode 51 of the Joys of Games podcast. We are recording this Wednesday evening, March 1st, 2017. We are 27 hours and 4 minutes away from the launch of the Nintendo Switch.
I'm pretty sure that one of the most hated days in the calendar is December 23rd, because it's not Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve.
Sure.
And sorry for any listeners out there that's your birthday on. A lot of people hate that day.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, Christmas Eve isn't bad, because a lot of people still celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, especially if you have, you know, large family or split families or however it may end up. Christmas Eve is still kind of like, it's like Christmas 1B, you know? It's just below the excitement of Christmas Day. But tomorrow, like, I think tomorrow is more hated than today, because tomorrow, nobody's, like, celebrating the release of the Nintendo Switch early, you know? Like, it's being sold at midnight around the country.
I don't know, man. I feel like that hype train it's coming, and it's coming fast.
Yeah, but it's not like you could, like, go and pick it up just a few hours early, you know, for this. Like, there is no... the hype will be there, the excitement will be there, but at least with, like, Christmas Eve, you could still celebrate if you choose to.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Like, you could sit there and unwrap the presents under the tree. Now, you can still be hopeful for some more presents showing up in the morning by, you know, good old Santa Claus. That's still a thing, but you have that option to sit there and unwrap as many presents as you'd like on Christmas Eve. With the Nintendo Switch, you could wish all you want. It's not coming true until midnight, my friend.
Oh man, you're ruining my dreams.
Well, I'm just saying.
You're like that bad genie in Aladdin when he goes all bad and he turns red. It's not good.
I'm just saying, don't hate on today, Colin. Today did nothing to you. Today is the exact same day as every other day previously.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. So.
Tomorrow, it gets worse.
No.
It has to get worse before it gets better, Colin.
That's true. Calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Dawn of the final day, as it were.
Something like that?
As it were.
Either way, we're going to try to do this podcast here tonight. We're doing the PlayStation Week.
Oh, that's right.
Thankfully, we have tons of stuff to talk about to make us forget that we are a mere 27 hours and 1 minute away from the release of the Nintendo Switch. So, we'll do our best, folks. Bear with us. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but we can get through this together. I am one of your hosts, Josh Brown. I am joined by the man who's been pacing up and down the aisles of his retail store establishment for the last week, Colin Wheeler.
Evening.
How is it just looking at those Switches just sitting there?
So, dude, we have so much Switch stuff just sitting there. And how our warehouse is set up is when you walk back there's like an upper shelf where you put all the new release product, and it just sits there until it comes out. And there's just my coworker who does the receiving for the stuff. He's not a Nintendo fan. He doesn't give a crap. Like, he plays some games, but he's just like, there's just so much stuff.
Sure.
And it's just, I haven't seen this much amount of product in any system launch, because, like, if you think about it, it's with the PlayStation, you had PlayStation controllers, you had the games, you had the system. That's pretty much it. With the Switch, you have the Switch, you have all the different controllers, you have all the different cases, you have all the different screen protectors, you have Amiibo, you have all the different games. Like, there's just so much stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the release of a new console is like the pinnacle of accessories that people buy. So you have to be prepared, because when you're dropping that much money on a new console, you're bound to spend some extra rupees on unnecessary stuff, usually, just because it's there, it's new, it's shiny, and you want to have everything you possibly can to do with your new console. So
it's like Jason at Disneyland. It's just like, once you've already, started, I mean, what's the point in stopping? Just keep going. Just put it all in the basket and keep going.
Just go for it. I mean,
yep.
No harm, no foul. Yeah, I bet that's really tough to work, Colin. I don't know how you're doing it, but
Yeah. Yeah, we set up the actual spot where the accessories go. So they're just sitting there on those sad gray pegs with nothing on them.
Let me ask you this.
Mm.
How much Wii U paraphernalia will still be on the shelves come Friday?
So they already downsized that a couple weeks ago in place of a coming soon Switch poster.
Yeah.
So their
actual product got replaced by a poster.
Yes, isn't that great? So it used to be
Fitting.
8 feet of product. Now it is, with the games, it's a combined accessories and games. It's only 4 feet. And actually, they're even downsizing that even more because there's little baskets where the games sit in. The top basket is going to be just for Switch games, and the bottom couple baskets will just all be Wii U games.
Wow. What about the 3DS section? Not getting bumped at all?
Nope, that's going to stay the same. You'll have
Wow.
the 3DS display, and you'll have the 2 3DS sections. Obviously, some stores are different, but most stores, that's what you're going to see.
Fascinating. Yeah, I was at a store yesterday, today, I can't remember. It's all a whirlwind in my life. And just checking out just to see if anybody accidentally put anything new out by chance. And I was just looking at like the old third party extra Wiimotes and all that stuff for the Wii U. I'm like, I'm just gonna say goodbye now because I'm never gonna see you stuff again.
Yeah, I was really bummed out because at the Retro Game Expo, I actually bought Boom Blocks.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah, for like $3. It was super cheap.
Sure.
It was a great game. I finally decided to play it the other day with my son and his friend.
Yeah.
And my Wiimotes, 2 of them, the battery acid ate through them and they didn't work anymore.
Ouch.
It was just really sad. Like, man, I'm not going to replace these. These are done.
Right.
Like, this system is done. The Wii era is over.
It's gone.
It's kind of weird.
It's Joy-Con era now, my friends.
I know. So
Feel the
I
joy,
throw those in the garbage and don't look back.
Well,
so.
I have approximately 12 different Wiimotes, so if you ever need one to borrow, just let me know.
I may hit you.
I have a box of Wii peripherals and Wii U accessories, so that's how it goes. Let's talk about PlayStation, shall we? So
that's
don't
right.
Just sit here and talk about how badly we want it to be the era of the Switch right now.
Yeah, I feel like since the announcement, like our opening banter has just been Nintendo specific, and we're like, "Hey, it's the Nintendo Wii."
Exciting time, Colin.
Yeah, it is.
New console. It's exciting console. There are people genuinely interested and excited about a Nintendo product that typically aren't, and that's adding more excitement to like the Nintendo fans. They're like, "Oh my god." Outside people are finally seeing what we've been seeing all along. This is going to be madness.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be a single Switch on a store shelf anywhere come Saturday.
I would be really surprised.
Yeah. Those things are getting sold out everywhere. I guarantee it. Mark my words.
I will say for those out there, if you listen in time, Target will have some available for people that didn't pre-order. Same with Best Buy. Almost every single Best Buy store is getting like 20 plus at least in our area.
Sure.
So of the black one, I think that neon color one is a crapshoot. Like I think there's gonna be barely any of those available. But yeah, it's worth getting in line for if you can make it to the midnight launches. And I think GameStop's too. I think I read somewhere that GameStop's will have a couple extra as well. So that's good that there's going to be at least extras beyond pre-orders. But yeah, it comes Saturday. Yeah, they're going to be gone. I would be just absolutely shocked if I walked into any store and saw one still sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, there are retail associates. Let's be honest here. Like most retail associates that are working at GameStop or electronic sections at like Best Buy or Target or whatever, probably weren't even old enough to remember when the Wii was released. So there's going to be like this whole phenomenon that us old folks are like still having nightmares about, of like calling every day, every store. Do you have any Wii's in? Do you have any Wii's in? Or do you know when you're getting a Wii? Do you know when you're getting those Wiimotes in? What do you mean I have to buy a Wiimote with another game? You're bundling in with a game? Is that my only way of buying a Wiimote? Okay, I'll buy one of those Wiimotes. People don't remember how stressful that was. If you didn't get a Wii in like the first week, you were SOL because it was like a month before Christmas. It was panic in the streets. Like, I knew people that were just calling every day, every store they could. And retail associates probably erased those memories as best as they possibly could. But I don't think come Friday, come Saturday, this new generation of retail associates have any idea what they're about to get into.
I think they do, because NES Classic, buddy. NES Classic.
Yeah, NES Classic, but not to the extent of what this is going to be.
Did I ever tell you the story about how I got my Wii?
I don't know. Did you?
So, when the Wii came out, I was 18, and I was working at Suncoast Video, which is like a DVD, and at that time we actually had some VHS still left over, store. And the Wii was crazy. At that time, I was pretty content with my Xbox 360. I had my GameCube, so I was happy to buy Twilight Princess on the GameCube. So the Wii I didn't really like the motion control thing. I thought it was really lame. But everybody wanted that thing. Like, everyone wanted it. Mm-hmm. And we would get calls constantly, even though we don't carry the Wii system, asking if we had it in stock. Like, we're a DVD store. We don't carry game consoles. We don't carry video games. People would still call all the time. Our sister company, our sister store is FYE, which is, they have music, movies, and video games, or at least they used to. I don't know if you can find an FYE anymore. Good
They
luck.
sell pop vinyls and board games now, Colin.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So at the time, they did have video games, and they somehow, our store got a Wii, a single Wii. And I don't know why it got shipped to our store, but I kept looking at that thing before putting it on the shelf, and I was like, everybody wants this thing. Why is this thing so cool? I'm going to buy this thing.
So it didn't even hit the store shelf, huh?
Nope. I did one of the things, the cardinal sin of employees buying all the goods up. But, it was the weirdest thing. It was like fate for me. It was like, we don't carry this. We're not supposed to have this. Why is this here?
Right. So, could you even, ring it up then? Like, if it was in your system?
Yeah, we were able to receive it. Like, we were able to get it into our inventory.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, it's not, I don't know what it was called then, but there wasn't a spot designated in the store for it. So
the store isn't putting in purchase orders for it to be shipped to the store.
Right. So once this one sold, another one no other one ever came in. So I literally got our store's only Wii, and I would have not gotten one if it hadn't just randomly showed up.
That's funny.
And I fell in love with that system, so sure. I'm glad that it did.
But yeah, you say the NES Classic, man. I don't think that's going to pale in comparison to the fervor that the Switch is going to cause. It's going to be beyond the Amiibo craze, I think. Because at least with the Amiibo, I don't think many people were calling as much as they were just going to the stores and hoping to find them on the shelf. You're going to have so many. I don't know, man. I'm calling it right now. This is going to be it's going to be insane for a while.
I 100% agree with you there. I think though that it will be, it could be worse than the NES Classic, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I remember getting, anytime I would go to stock any shelves in the gaming department, even now this week I did this, and someone asked if they have the NES Classic. Every single time when I'm over in the gaming section, someone's always asking if we have those things. So yeah, the Switch is going to be probably no different for a couple months, and we'll see if if there is going to be a scarcity of it, or if they're going to be able to satisfy the demand.
Sure, we'll see.
They don't have the best track record for that though. No. So
would it surprise anyone to see this run through the holiday?
And that's also why I think that people are so crazy about it right now. They're like, we have to get it now, because if we don't get it now, good luck.
Right, yeah.
Like that's your best shot. Is that the midnight launches in Fridays? So.
Mm-hmm. So that's Friday, Colin. This is Wednesday. Let's talk about PlayStation.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we gotta do that. We have to do it. You know, next week, as I talked about, next week will be our Etc. episode. We'll break down full coverage of the Switch console itself. We will follow the next week with our week of Nintendo, where we'll talk all about Zelda Breath of the Wild. That should give us plenty of time to sink some hours into it, I would imagine.
Yes.
So that's how the next few weeks are going to shape up. But this week, it's PlayStation. This week, we're going to talk about some PlayStation games. First and foremost, though, Colin, I promised last week we were going to do a little check-in. Check-in on my progress with Resident Evil 7.
Oh, yeah. What happened with that?
5th playthrough. Completed. In my 5 playthroughs, I synced, let's see, 23, 24 hours total.
So an entire day
Right.
in Resident Evil 7.
Right.
Fantastic.
5 playthroughs. 1 platinum trophy. Pop. Got it, Colin. Did it.
Congrats.
It was dicey, man. It was dicey. Let me tell you what. So my 5th playthrough I was playing through on easy. There were 4 trophies plus the platinum that I still had to get, which was going to be tricky. It was definitely going to be tricky because the 2 that I talked about before, about having to only save 3 times or less and only open your items box 3 times or less.
Mm-hmm.
Or not save, use a health item 3 times or less. That one was fine. I used 1 health item the entire game, the entire run through. That was no problem. I wasn't sweating that at all. And that 1 health item I used, the game forces you to use a health item at the beginning of the game. So, whatever. But the item box, that's where it got tricky. You have limited items that you could carry. Now, going into my 5th playthrough, I had already, because I had beaten the hardest difficulty, I unlocked infinite ammo. Okay? So I want that, right? Now, it doesn't just give it to you. You have to actually carry this token in your inventory that says you have infinite ammo. So do you think they give that to you at the beginning of the game, Colin? No, they put it in your item box, right? Because of course they do.
Right.
So as soon as my first item box I come through, I'm like, okay, well, I need infinite ammo. That's my only way of being able to do this. So I'm going to open the items box. Done. Get my powerful weapon. Good to go. I'm playing through. Later on in the story, about 3/4 of the way through, there comes a point where you are forced to put every item that you're carrying into a box, an item box, before you can proceed. Because you have to go into like this escape room, but you can't go in carrying any items. So you have to empty your pockets. So you have to open the box, right? Okay. See where this is going. Beat the room, no problem. Afterwards, I know I need a crank because I have to cross a bridge and I have to raise the bridge with the crank. Guess where my crank is, Colin? It's in the items box, my friend. So I have to open the items box again. That is item box number 3 open. Okay? So I'm capped. I have another 1/4 of the game left. And I can't open the box at all anymore. I'm fine. I got I have my Magnum because I found the Magnum in this playthrough. And I have unlimited ammo. Good to go. That's all I need, right? I have all the important items that I need to unlock everything throughout the rest of the game. So I'm playing through the end of the game. I'm on a ship. I'm not playing as myself. I'm playing as somebody else. Now at this point, this is my 5th playthrough, right? I should remember how this thing goes. But as I'm starting to complete the ship area, and I'm trying to remember when I actually go back to playing as the character I've been playing the whole game, I suddenly can't remember if when I get back in control of this character, Ethan, if I have everything I was carrying when I stopped playing as Ethan, or if I had to open up an items box to retrieve everything that was taken from me. I couldn't remember this. So I reclaim possession of Ethan. I start running along, open up my inventory. Got nothing. I get to the items box and I just stop and I stand there. And I'm just like, everything I need is in that box right there. And I can't open it. And I had this struggle with myself, Colin. I said, do I just open the box, forego getting this trophy, complete this playthrough with getting all the other trophies that I have gotten this far, finish the game, and then do another playthrough more in a smarter fashion, and then get the final trophy with the platinum? I considered doing a 6th playthrough. And I said, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do. So I look over at the side. It's sitting on the table. What do we have here? We have a grenade launcher, my friends. Fantastic, right? You're thinking? It's a piece of cake.
Obviously.
It would be awesome if there were infinite ammo associated with that. But my infinite ammo coin is conveniently removed from my pocket and put in the items box. So now I have a grenade launcher with 1 grenade. And I have to run through this cave system, it's assault mines, that is literally filled with enemies. And I'm like, I know the path I have to take. I got that down pat. I know everything I have to do going forward. But I can't shoot anybody. I don't even have a knife, Colin. I don't even have a melee weapon. I got nothing. I have a grenade launcher with 1 grenade. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's do it. I've come this far. Let's do it. So I run. And I run. And I run. And I'm dodging. I'm weaving in and out of bad guys. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect. Flawless run, Colin. I'm having the run of my life. All I'm doing is just blowing right past these fools. No problems. They're too slow to catch me. I got this. Then I get to the problem. The problem is I get to this arena. Essentially. It's a circular room in this cavern. With these 2 giant fat guys. Now, I've fought these fat guys before in the game. When they take damage, they vomit profusely in every direction, and the vomit happens to be very acidic. So it does damage to you, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, there's 2 of them, and there's a ladder. Now, at the top of that ladder, Colin, there's a door, and I'm home free. But I have to get past these 2 fools, because they're deadly. Now I find 2 more grenades. Okay? So I'm going in, 3 grenades, 1 rocket launcher, 2 big fat guys, doing my best I can. I light them up. Boom, boom, boom. Light them up. 1 dies. The other one does not. Now, if he had a health bar, there would be like a sliver of life left, right? Like I'm thinking
the old blinking enemy.
Right. I'm thinking just let me pick up a rock and throw it at this fool and he's going to explode. Like that's how close to death he is. I have no melee weapon. I try swinging my grenade launcher at him like a melee weapon. Can't do that. I have nothing. I have nothing. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to make a run for it and climb up this ladder. It's going great. I get halfway up the ladder, going good. I hear him moaning and making noise. There comes the projectile vomit. Boom! Hits me, and I fall off the ladder. All right. That's how this is going to go, huh? So then for the next 20 minutes, I spent running around this room, letting him catch up to me as much as I possibly could tolerate before my anxiety got the best of me, because he got way too close sometimes. Because as soon as he'd catch up to me, he would either try to take a swipe at me if he was that close, or he would start huffing and puffing before vomiting this acid all over me. So I just kept running around in this room until I got, and I tried climbing up that ladder maybe 7 or 8 times. And every time I got about 3/4 of the way up, boom, got hit, fell down. Now, I don't have any health on me, right? Even if I had health, probably shouldn't be using it just in case.
Yeah, because at that point, how many times can you use it? Is it just one time?
I still had 2 more uses left if need be, but
Okay.
I didn't have any of my health that was in the box, and I haven't been able to pick up any health, so I had nothing. So I'm just like, well, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna die here, and I don't know how to do this. And finally, I got to, like, I wedged myself in this corner of the room and got him to try to attack me, and then I just took off. Like I was Forrest Gump, Colin. I just made a run for that ladder, and I'm climbing, and I hear him coming. I hear all the noises that every time he's hit me, he's making. And just as I hear, like, the vomit start to hit, like, the side of the mountain of the ladder that I'm climbing up, I hit that last rung, and I climb up, and I'm like, oh, God. Done. Did it, Colin. And then I forgot about the last boss. That's where it got even more interesting, because I got to the last boss, right? And I had forgotten that you have to actually attack the last boss. I had nothing still, Colin. I had no weapons. I had no melee weapons. I had zilch, my friend. So all I could do is stand there in a room as she slowly creeped towards me, finally attacked me, killed me, brought me to my death. You would think that would be the worst thing in my life. However, the tricky designers behind Resident Evil 7, with this boss and the halfway boss of the game, if you die while playing against them, while fighting them, it doesn't take you automatically back to, like, your most recent save point or anything like that. It takes you back to the beginning of the fight, which is really nice.
Okay.
Also, before you say, yes, retry, it gives the option to say, manage your inventory, ? Clicked on that. Oh, look at that. I have access to all my weapons now. And I'm not in an item box. I'm in a menu.
Oh, so that doesn't count towards the
Nope,
trophy?
because I didn't open an items box. The game allowed me to take things out without actually opening a box. And there I pulled out my Magnum, I pulled out my infinite ammo.
Oh
boom, boom, boom. I was done in 2 minutes. Popped that platinum trophy. Done, son. Done. One of the most satisfying platinum trophies I've ever gotten.
That's hilarious.
And all I want to do is go back and play again. That's sick. That's sick. Colin, there's literally no reason for me to go back and play that game. I have gotten every trophy. I have 100% everything I possibly can in that game. And all I want to do is go back and play it again. What's wrong with me?
I think you need to stream it.
I could do a run. I could do a playthrough. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd
be a reason to do it with an audience.
That playthrough was 3 hours and 45 minutes
on
my 5th playthrough. So, if I did it and I'm not stressing about health or how many times I'm opening the items box, I could definitely have fun playing through it. I should do that. That's a good idea.
I got all the ideas.
You have all the ideas. So, there's the last time I'm ever going to speak about Resident Evil 7. There's new DLC. I need to get into that. Like, I'm excited to do that, but I didn't want to do that without completing everything I set out to accomplish in the first place. So now the game's wrapped up. Now I can move on to DLC and so on and so forth. So,
do you know what the DLC is? Because I read about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought it was cool that it's a specific character based. So that's cool.
Which DLC are you talking about? The one that hasn't come out yet?
Yes.
The Not a Hero DLC?
Yes.
That's going to be free? I can't wait for that.
There's another. Oh, we'll talk off.
Shocker. Spoiler alert. They're including DLC. Okay, I'm not going to do it. You could go look it up, folks. It's called Not a Hero. It's free content they're adding this spring. Looks fun. I can't wait to play that. But there's currently 2 DLC packs available to buy.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is the one in the spring.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that for sure.
That's super cool.
Mm-hmm. Which into the game kind of makes sense. So.
Right.
Okay, got that out of my system, Colin. No more Resident Evil 7 talk. we're going to move on. Let's talk about a game that came out a few years ago. We're not going way back too far, right? Just a little far back. And there's a reason why we're going back to this one at all. Okay? There is a studio. Maybe something that you've heard about. It's called Drinkbox Studios. They make some really cool PlayStation games.
Yeah, they do.
Just announced recently, one of the PlayStation Plus free games for the Vita is going to be Severed.
Right.
One of our favorite games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a free game. And that is from Drinkbox Studios. Now, the reason I bring that up is because that segues into an older game that's one of my favorites that caught me and I think the rest of the world off guard. And I think that's kind of like how Severed happened also. Like, I don't know why people don't trust Drinkbox Studios anymore, because they just keep doing this, you know? They put out a game without much hype or anticipation, and then it comes out and everybody's just like, yeah, that's a really good game. Guacamelee.
Yeah.
Did you play that game, Colin?
I did play it. I played it on 360, or not 360, Xbox One, or did it come out last gen too?
Yeah, it's PS3 and 360.
Okay, so I did play it on PS3 and then later on Xbox One.
Okay. Yeah, because Xbox One, PS4 got like the Ultimate Championship editions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that game is so cool. Like, it's just like oozing with style, and it was like right at the time when Metroidvania games were not really a thing. Like, nowadays, I feel like there's a new Metroidvania coming out every month. Independent developers doing that, but like this was, yeah, it came out April 9th, 2013. Mm-hmm. And it was so unique because it was kind of like Day of the Dead style, like aesthetics,
right? Which doesn't get used enough in video games.
No, yeah, like every time I see it, it always pops out at me. Mm-hmm. You know, recently or last year's Skylander game, like by far the coolest Skylander in my opinion was the Day of the Dead. Yeah, and the car that character had, that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like not only did it look great and it had really cool like Metroidvania mechanics, but like it played so well too. The combat was so satisfying in that game.
It was spot on.
Yeah. It also had like a really good balance of difficulty versus like fun, which I feel like a lot of the Metroidvania games that I've played lately seem to be like way too hard or way too easy.
Right.
So I haven't had this much fun in that type of game since probably oh shoot, what is that game called? That was a Xbox 360 exclusive. Shadow Complex? Shadow Complex, yeah. So those two are among my favorite like non-Nintendo Metroid style games.
Right.
So good.
Yeah, with Guacamelee, like there was, it seemed very shallow of a combat system, but it was deeper than it seemed on paper. In the fact that like if you just wanted to button mash, like you could struggle your way through the game if you didn't like want to like pick up on the perfectly timed combat system that they had implemented. But if you wanted to take the time to get good at the combat, it felt so satisfying. It was so rewarding to nail the combos perfectly. You know, like there's like this room where you could fight a chicken, and you essentially practice combos against it. And every time you went in there, it gave you more difficult combos to try. And they were hard. Like, they were hard to nail, but when you did it, you're just like, oh, I'm a god. I'm the best at video games ever. You know, like, it felt good. And then applying that to actual combat in the game without thinking about it. You're just like, I'm not thinking about doing combos. I'm just doing it, and I'm nailing it, and I'm wall jumping, and I'm flying around, and I'm doing all these moves. And it was just, it was very DMC like, where when you just got the flow going, it's just like sit back and just soak it in.
Right. It kind of had like a almost like a mini like combat puzzle too, fighting specific enemies as well, which I thought was really well done with that combat system. And like the progression of getting different moves and stuff is really, really cool.
Right. It's also beautiful. Like the colors are vibrant, they pop. The sound, the music. Oh god, the music is so good.
Yeah.
The story is actually really funny and well thought out. And it's also like weirdly about luchador wrestling, and that definitely doesn't get enough credit in video games ever. And this Metroidvania combat based luchador Day of the Dead mashup, it was so fun, man. I remember getting the platinum for that game, and it was like I put my Vita down and I was just like, this is so good. Like I think I've played that game several times since then. I think I got it on the Wii U. I definitely got it on the PS4. Played it like back and forth on the PS3 and the Vita. Anytime I get a chance to like get my hands on Guacamelee, it's so fun just to get back into that world and be good at it again, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely a great game to go back to for sure.
Yeah. So Drinkbox Studios, man, they make good games. They continuously make good games. Severed is a fantastic game. I highly recommend if you have a PlayStation Vita, you pick up that game. It's going to be free this month on PlayStation Plus. You actually have no excuses left on not to get it and not to try it out.
And that game is also is great on mobile too. So if you do not have a PlayStation Vita, because I'm not even sure what a PlayStation Vita is, it is on mobile phones and it's great.
It's a fairy tale, Colin. Like, you know, some people like believe in the PlayStation Vita, but it's one of those things like...
I'm sorry, the PlayStation what?
Vita. Until you see it in real life, it's like Sasquatch.
Like the Ouya?
I don't think anybody actually believes in the Ouya.
I believe in the Ouya.
Let me tell you about my Ouya tattoo that I got.
Oh man, please do.
I got the Ouya button map on my knuckles.
Wow, I don't know what to tell you, but to say that's amazing.
Actually,
I'm pretty sure if I saw that on someone like an Ouya tattoo, I would just be like embarrassed for them, but also just equally impressed.
Yeah, give that person a high five. You know, they committed to something.
They should get a tattoo of the Ouya and the Virtual Boy, and what other really? Oh, the
Dreamcast?
3DO. No, Dreamcast wasn't that bad.
Are we talking about like quality or commercial success?
Wii U, I guess, would be on there somewhere too.
You can only have one Nintendo product, my friend. Anyway, Guacamelee. I just want to talk about that because, you know, I don't think about that game very often. But I remember how much fun I had with it each time I played it, and it's a mighty fun game. It's really fun. So,
yeah, for sure.
Colin, we have some news tidbits you want to talk about here?
Yeah. Let me pull up this here show notes. Let's talk about the news. There's not a whole lot happening, but there's some cool stuff, nonetheless. The Shadow of Mordor sequel has finally been revealed.
Thanks, Target.
Yeah, it was originally leaked on Target.com on Sunday, and Monday morning, Warner Bros. Is like, well, crap.
Yeah.
I guess we got to release the trailer. So the trailer came out. They announced it. It is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One. Did you play the original Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. So I'm totally on board for another one as well. It is on Xbox. They are doing the Xbox Play Anywhere, and that will be for Xbox One, Xbox Scorpio, and Windows 10 PC. So if you buy it digitally, you get it on all three of those platforms.
Right. But you can also get it on PlayStation.
What's that?
But you can also get it on PlayStation.
What's a PlayStation?
The thing we're talking about this week.
The Nintendo Switch?
PlayStation 4
Oh, that's right.
Pro.
It will be on PlayStation 4. Actually, supposedly it's going to have a PS4 Pro mode as well.
I bet.
So if
That's
you have
a
a
good game for
PS4
that.
Pro, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
didn't they updated the old one for the Pro,
yeah,
right?
and from my understanding, the developers were kind of hinting at they're like, oh, we wanted to test it for future projects. Wink, wink. So
Like the one coming out in a few months.
yeah, so that's actually coming out in August. That's coming out really soon. So that's gonna be a cool game to come out right before the busy holiday season. So
Right. What's funny about this story to me, like, was just like the leak about like how Target accidentally put it up, and then that like, nobody had known about it until then, and everybody kind of freaked out, and it's gotten the game industry to talk about leaks in a funny way, where Jason and I over on Toys for Games, like, we've been like leaking stuff for 2 years now, and it's like this is like that's a normal day, like to see Target put up something that shouldn't be up there because it's not announced. It's like we see that all the time, you know. But,
yeah,
like nobody talks about that because it's toys, but you know, make it a game and everybody loses their mind.
yeah. I'm always curious. I would love to hear the story behind the ramifications, like what happens with that.
Nothing.
Like nothing. They don't get fined or anything. They're just like, well, crap.
Again, which I've said many times, the companies that send information to retailers, like even if it's just like to be a placeholder to make it live at some point, like you're taking that initial risk by even having it available. Like, announce it and send it to the companies all at one time. Like, there's no reason they couldn't have announced it and then sent over the artwork and the names to retailers for pre-order, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like they were announcing it and then, like, immediately it was for sale and they were worried that they were going to be behind by a couple hours or anything like that. It's like, why even send that information to Target if you're going to be worried later on if it accidentally goes out before you decide to announce it? Or, here's the other thing. They may have sent it to Target and other retailers or whatever with the thought of we will have it announced by this date. And then things happen, they don't have it announced yet, it gets pushed back internally, but nobody's even thinking about, oh crap, we sent that to Target with this date on it. Somebody needs to call Target and say, hey, don't publish that yet. You know, I'm sure that happens all the time. All the time, because maybe they were gonna plan, you know, announce it at the end of February, and they had planned this a couple months ago before Nintendo decided that they're going to take over like every bit of news for the end of February through March. Mm-hmm. So then they're just like, oh, whoa, we need to back away from there. We'll just push it out a little bit, so give it room to breathe, and then it just, you know, somebody forgot to cross an I and dot a T, and here we are. So,
right.
Yeah. I don't think, there's no ramifications. Nobody's getting in trouble for hitting publish on something like that.
I bet if it was Nintendo, they'd be in trouble.
Look how many Amiibo leaks there were.
That's true. Didn't some people get cease and desist, though, from them? Being like, hey, take that crap down?
They could try, but it means nothing.
Once it's on the internet, it's out.
It's there forever.
Like, there's no one going back.
No. So. That's the thing. Like, Target deleted it, but they were just like, well, I mean, it's out. Like, people know, so we could either pretend like Target's lying, or we could just be out in front of it. So,
right. Yeah, I'm excited for that game. Like I said, the first one was great. I'm on board for a sequel. I'm interested to see what they're going to do story-wise.
Right.
So
just what we need, another awesome game in 2017.
Right, another huge awesome game. So that one's going to be called Shadow of War, which I don't know if I like that name. I feel like it just sounds weird to me.
But. Yeah, I mean, Shadow of Mordor didn't really, that wasn't exciting at first.
Yeah, that's true.
Shadow of War is generic, though.
That's what I'm saying. It just sounds like a mobile game that you would download for free, and yeah, I don't know. Another news, Borderlands 3, excuse me. There's a tech demo shown at GDC this week. it's running on Unreal 4, and it looks really, really good. Like, if you want to see how beautiful the game looks, there's a bunch of screenshots online. I'm a big Borderlands fan. I think it was so great because it was like Diablo 2, but in first person. Obviously not like aesthetically and not the premise, but it was the same type of game. It's like a dungeon crawler, but in first person, and it's cooperative. And also, all the games had split screen, which I really liked as well. So, more Borderlands. I'm super happy about.
Yeah, I was never able to get into Borderlands. I tried.
It is such a game that you need a co-op partner. Like that game and like Destiny are just games that are just meant for multiplayer. Like, you can play by yourself, yeah, but it's nothing compared to playing with a friend or 4 friends. Like, if you have 4 people, man, it's such a blast.
Yeah, I get it.
The Division developers at Ubisoft are actually working on an Avatar game, and not the good Avatar. We're talking about the Blue People Avatar, which it was okay. Like, a lot of people give that movie like major crap. I actually enjoyed the movie quite a bit. Like, it was totally not, like, the story was not original at all, but I thought the world was really interesting and the creatures were really interesting.
I've still never seen that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's pretty good, yeah. If you get a chance to like stream it on Netflix or whatever, I definitely recommend watching it. It's a fun sci-fi action flick. What's weird to me is they're making the game, right? But the second movie isn't even being shot yet. So are they making like what Insomniac is doing with Spider-Man, where it's just like
its own standalone thing,
which to me, I don't feel like that world is rich enough to sell.
I think you're selling it short here, Colin, because, James Cameron, he's already finished the next 4 movies writing. They're also opening up an entire land in Disney World dedicated to that world. So I feel like somebody believes there's some substance behind it.
You know what's funny is I have more faith in the Disney World exhibit than I do Avatar, the movie.
Well, yeah, because it's Disney. What did they ever mess up?
They need to make the Avatar movies instead. So I think it's just weird. It's such a strange thing. And I don't know if this was a leak or if this was like officially announced, but it's just bizarre to me that it's like a licensed game, but if it's being developed now, maybe they're trying to make like a good adaptation for when the movie does come out, because I know James Cameron was involved with the last Avatar game, which was like mixed. Like, some people thought it was good and some people hated it. So I never played it, so I have no idea. But
maybe this is going to act as like a bridge connecting the 2 movies.
Yeah, I really liked when did you ever play the Enter the Matrix?
Yes.
I thought that was a really cool idea. They actually shot like actual footage for that game. Something like that would be great.
Yeah, they could do it.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think you should watch that movie, though. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I honestly have no reason why I've never seen it. Just then, it just didn't appeal to me at all. Like, I think it was so overhyped when it came out because it was like the 3D movie that was going to be like the wave of the future, and I was just like, right. And like, I remember, that was when like movie theaters didn't know how to charge for 3D movies, so it was like $25 to go see it in 3D, and I don't know. Like, then it came out and just like, whatever. It's nothing about this like is screaming, other than it's pretty and it looks cool. Like, there's plenty of sci-fi movies I don't watch,
I remember working at FYE and we had a midnight launch for the Blu-ray release of that movie. And
what?
There were so many people that showed up.
Are you kidding
so
me?
many. Oh yeah.
Wow.
There was at least 100 people showed up to that thing. Huh. It was crazy. That and the Twilight movies, if that gives you our demographic.
Sure.
So. Anyway, PSVR has sold over 900,000. It's great.
Good job.
That's
still hard to find on store shelves.
Yeah, they are not producing enough fast enough. And I was actually listening to Giant Bomb, and they were talking about in Japan, they are so scarce that if people even hear rumblings that a store may have some in stock, people will camp out to try to get one.
Hmm. Hmm.
So domestically, they're doing well. Overseas, it's doing well. If they can produce enough, that'd be great. And they just released a patent too. I don't know if you saw this, but there was a new patent that had a room scaling camera
Ooh,
similar
like the
to
Vive?
like the Vive, yeah, that is going to be implemented with that. And then there also that patent also showed the PSVR being wireless, which I thought was interesting. So
Hmm.
I think if the Generation 2 of PSVR has that, or even if you can, if they have a peripheral where you can buy the PSVR and be like, you can get it wireless if you buy this, $50 add-on or
Right.
whatever, like I would be totally on board. That'd
Yeah.
be so exciting. Because that's my hang up right now is just like lack of titles for me personally, but also like just for my household, I just don't have the room for it.
Sure.
Um,
Do you know Psychonauts came out in PSVR?
I know.
Okay. Just throwing that out there.
I'm just saying, like, you could just buy it and I'll just go to your house and play it.
Getting you over to my house is a chore and a half, Colin.
That's true. That's true.
You know what another great game on the PSVR is?
What's that?
Resident Evil 7.
I've never heard of that.
My goodness, what a great game. Let me tell you all about it, Colin.
I don't think I can handle that game in
It's
VR.
horrifying. No, nobody should be able to, Colin.
No, it's stressful. Like, it stresses me out. Having you talk about it stresses me out.
You were stressed out just knowing that I was going to try it. Like you were just thinking
I watched
about
that stream you did. I did not like it. I did not like it at
But
all.
I think you were like anxious even before like I started. Like you were just like thinking about it. You're just like, oh god, he's gonna die. He's actually gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were gonna die when you ate that pepper too. So.
Well, that was actual close call to death.
Yeah.
Death was knocking on my door on that one.
Whoo boy.
Boy, you know what Val did the other day?
Mm.
Where were we? We were eating breakfast. We went out to breakfast Saturday or Sunday morning, something like that, last weekend, and it was nice. It was enjoyable. I gave her a bite of my biscuits and gravy. They were delicious, and she's like, "Oh, you want a bite of my omelet or whatever she had?" I can't remember what it was now. I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take a bite." She gave me a bite, and I'm just like, my throat just starts swelling up, and I'm just like, "Why is it so hot?" And she's like, I didn't give you a bite with any of the sauce on it. I'm like, what sauce? And she turns the bottle around, and it's that aardvark sauce,
Yeah.
which is made from habanero peppers. I'm like,
yes, it is.
oh my god, flashbacks. Oh god, I can't breathe. Oh my god. She's like, there's literally no sauce on that. I'm like, just the proximity of being close to habanero pepper sauce, like, made this food toxic, and my throat is swelling up because it knows what's about to happen. Like, my body is physically reacting to the feeling, the sensation of habanero peppers.
Oh.
I'm messed up for life, man.
Yeah, dude, you're scarred. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
So,
Game over.
let's talk about a new game, Colin.
Mm.
The new game that's hitting all the hype around this game. And it's well deserved because you know what? I'm really loving this game. I am enjoying my time with this game. Now, here's a caveat. I've only put a few hours into it. Second caveat. After tomorrow, it's going to be a while before I get back to this game.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a little game called Zelda Breath of the Wild is being released into 26 hours and 10 minutes. But for now, and eventually down the road when I get back to it, Horizon Zero Dawn is absolutely stunning. I am loving this game so much. I've heard countless people talk about it so far. There was a point where I wasn't sure the hype was going to be justified. Like, it was going to be one of those games that's just so hyped up, like The Division or No Man's Sky or Destiny, where it's just like, there's no way, no matter how good the game is, it will be able to live up to what people's expectations are for it. So I was worried going into Horizon Zero Dawn. But then I started remembering that, like, people were kind of skeptical about this game all along, right? Everybody's like, well, it's the people that made Killzone, and it's been delayed. It's a PS4 exclusive. Like, everything that they could pin on this game about having doubts for it. Man, it is an awesome game. It is so fantastic. First and foremost, I need to point out the fact that having a red-haired female protagonist is the coolest thing in a video game in a long time. Like, I was playing it, Val was reading, she looked up, she was like, whoa, that's you? I'm like, yeah, that's the character. That's the main character. Like, it's so rad to be able to not play as a white male protagonist in a game.
Mm-hmm.
It feels cool. Like, literally, this could be anything. It's just a video game, right? And the story, I don't know where the story's going. I'm already kind of in love with the story as it is, but it just, seeing something different that you don't normally see in video games makes it feel unique and special. And that's kind of sad, you know, like, just playing as a female protagonist is like a big deal still. But it is. And I think that needs to be celebrated and not worried about by people who are afraid of, like, you know, the feminist agenda or anything like that. Like, she's a badass and she's awesome. She's been training since she was like 6 years old to be as cool as she is. And it's just refreshing to have a new face and a new look as the protagonist in a game. Especially a game about robot dinosaurs, man.
Yeah, it's such a weird, like, that whole concept of Horizon Zero Dawn was so interesting because it's like a hodgepodge of like all these different concepts just like married into this like game, and that's where the skepticism for the game came from. It's like, well, the Killzone games are great gameplay wise, but story wise they're not super good. Well, at least in my opinion. I thought I can't remember a single thing about the Killzone story.
Pretty generic.
Yeah. So, and then you have also a female protagonist, which can go either way, right? Like, you can do a good representation where you have like the new Tomb Raider reboot, or you can do a bad representation,
like the old Tomb Raiders.
Old Tomb Raiders, exactly. So there's a lot of skepticism there. So like having her name is Aloy.
Aloy, yeah. Aloy.
Yeah. Aloy. Be really cool and like have a really interesting story is awesome. Like, mm-hmm. I think, you know, if anything, we need more strong female protagonists. And, you know, now that Uncharted is wrapped up, I could definitely see Sony, you know, letting this series be the poster, right. And she would be the poster child for the PlayStation 4 generation, which is actually awesome.
Right.
Like, has any console ever had a female character as the, like, as like the direct association? Like, you know, you have Microsoft, you have Master Chief, you have Mario with Nintendo. Like, right. You know, now that it used to be Nathan Drake, but now that that's over, like, I could definitely see her being that mascot, which is awesome.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, she's totally rad. The story, like I said, I'm falling in love with it quickly because I just want to know. First of all, I want to know what happened to get to where we're at in this game, in this new world that we're playing in. But then I'm curious to see where it's going also, because it's definitely in the future, but there's a dark, dark past that nobody's really talking about, and I want to know what that is. I want to know what happened to the world that we used to know. I want to know why they're mechanical robot dinosaurs walking around. Who's in charge of those? Why did the human species revert back to like the tribal instincts? Like, there's all these mysteries, and I hope it's all kind of eventually revealed. And from what I understand, like the end of the game definitely leaves it open for the franchise to continue, which is smart. But the gameplay is super satisfying. Like, good bow and arrow combat in video games just feels good. Both Tomb Raider games felt amazing because of how good playing with the bow and arrow was. You know, Link's crossbow training was a fun game because it was actually worked as crossbow and bow and arrow and that sort of stuff. You know,
Link's crossbow training.
don't hate Colin.
It's the greatest bundle in for the most useless accessory ever.
Man, I tried shoehorning that zapper into everything I could, and it didn't work.
That thing is the most awkward thing to hold too. Like, if seriously
it took 20
felt
minutes
like
just to get your controller in.
Yeah, not only that, but just like there's no comfortable way for that thing to work.
Nope.
Not one.
Running the wires through to connect to your nunchuck
So
and
dumb.
regardless,
That's by far the worst.
Yeah.
Accessory I've ever owned.
Yes, but solid game behind it. So, good bow and arrow combat always feels good. Always, always, always. I don't know why. It just does. And this game is just spot on. It's perfect. It's a giant world. Like, I looked at the map, I'm like, holy cow, there's a lot going on in here. But you immediately could just start running. And you just run. Like, there's no stamina meter. Like, you could just run. And it feels like you're covering so much more distance because you have this ability to just run incredibly fast. Which is probably, I mean, the point of it, but usually in games like this, like, that's a skill that you have to unlock, like, you know, a third of the way through the game or something, where, like, the first part is just a slog because all you can do is walk at a brisk pace. And this, you're just like, nope, I'm just going to take off and run and just go. She has these cool sliding abilities and this roll for combat, and she could climb up on rocks. And this is what I'm looking forward to with, like, Zelda specifically, is like, you see this giant mountain of rocks and you're like, well, that's a problem, because every game has conditioned me to know that, you know, that's there to prevent me from moving past it. But in Horizon, she's just like, no, I'm just going to climb up these rocks. I'm just boop, 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 up the rocks. And it feels really cool to do that kind of stuff. Taking down the robot dinosaurs, super satisfying. They don't take many hits, the smaller ones at least, the Watchers. And she has this really cool bow staff too. I think it doubles as her bow and arrow, but she could use it as a bow staff like Donatello, and just crush them. Just swing them and crush. And so melee combat combined with, like, really good bow and arrow combat, I'm in heaven.
That's cool. I didn't even know there was melee combat.
I
thought it was
think
just like
so
all
either.
bow and arrow specifically.
Every trailer, every clip I've ever seen is just her with the bow and arrow. And right off the bat, it's just like, hey, you could use this to smash stuff, you know? And I'm like, what?
Well, yeah, I got to smash stuff.
And the benefit of that is, one, if you don't have any arrows, or two, you could use it, like, because each one will take, like, a few hits to actually destroy. But, like, on your first couple hits before you destroy it, you're actually knocking off the armor to allow it to open up weak spots if you wanted to use your bow and arrow that way. Mm-hmm. So, like, on bigger ones that you can't just, like, take down by beating it to death, you're actually still doing damage in the sense of breaking down the armor from it. So, like, the melee combat itself is pretty deep, and there's a couple different buttons you could use for, like, a strong and a weak hit, and she's very fluid in her actions and will, like, bounce around as she's smashing things, and then you know, you could smash a few things and then roll out of the way and then immediately just go right to your bow and arrow without having to, like, switch weapons, and just fire one right in its eyeball or its weak spot and blow it up. Oh, man. It's so good. I started getting nervous, though, before I stopped playing, because I realized that there is a very big stealth aspect to this game. I don't like stealth games. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
gave Dishonored 2 a shot, and I realized that game is definitely meant to be played in stealth mode.
Right.
I get too antsy, and I
Me
want
too.
to run.
Yep.
I don't have patience when it comes to games. Um, so then I started realizing that like the more I'm running and the more noise I'm making and the more visible I am, the more I'm going to get attacked. And this started to be a problem. I'm like, God, I have to sneak up on these things or I have to sneak around them. And then I remember that I have this awesome melee combat. I'm just like, yeah, bring it on. I'm just gonna smash you, you know. So like, you could go in and try to be stealthy, but you could also go in just guns blazing and and just take what you want from these robot creatures. Now, it's not going to work on the bigger enemies. I know that, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to if I'm going to be fighting tribes and I don't know how this is all going to play out, but right now I know that stealth is there. It's something that they teach you early on. They hammer it home of like, this is important. You need to stay low. You need to stay hidden in the tall grass. You need to be quiet. You need to watch your meter. But it doesn't feel like I'm being punished too much at this point for choosing not to go that route.
That's awesome. That was one of my favorite things about Metal Gear 5, and I could never get into the other Metal Gear games because I just hate sneaking around all the time. Metal Gear 5 really just let you play kind of any way that you wanted.
Right.
So I'm glad to hear that Horizon seems to be similar, at least in the like the small beginning
Yeah.
enemies. Who knows what happens later on, like you said, but
Sure.
that's cool.
I mean, basically, you could attack it from like you could sneak and just not engage in battles, or you could be aggressive and just have some really fun combat. And there's never a scarcity of materials to craft new arrows, so that's not a concern. The weapon that you use to smash things with like doesn't break or anything like that. Like that's your weapon forever. There's plenty of berries that you could pick up and use for health throughout the entire world. So it's either like, do you want this to be actiony or do you want it to be stealthy? And either one, you could have fun, but you get to play it how you want. And if you get a wild hair and you're just like, I'm just going to go attack everything, go for it. Do it. Or try to be stealthy and go that route if you want. But yeah, fascinating story so far. God, the game itself, though, Colin, is beautiful. The moment I got a chance to go into photo mode, I started playing around and taking screenshots. That's dangerous. That's going to add probably twice the playtime of just me messing around in photo mode and trying to get like the perfect angles and the perfect sun flare on the lens and
get a J.J. Abrams shot.
Oh yeah, you have to, right?
Well, yeah.
The game lets you do it. You got to do it.
Right. That's what it's there for.
So my entire 2 terabyte hard drive is going to be filled with screenshots. I know it by the end of this game.
That's a lot of screenshots.
I'm going to just put together like an art gallery, maybe a nice coffee table book or something like that.
I'd like that. Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn screenshots, different filters and camera angles, and like the photo mode is so deep. Did you ever play with the photo mode in Last of Us?
I did briefly in The Last of Us. I did it more so in Uncharted.
Okay.
Because Uncharted had the same one. So
yeah, you know how there's like 10 or 12 filters you could throw on it.
Yep.
And it added different border or anything like that. Like that's the tip of the iceberg as far as photo mode for this game.
That's cool.
Like it's like Instagram on crack, dude, because there's just so many different filters and camera angles and so much you could do to adjust the picture just right and then snap that screenshot and oh god, it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good. So Horizon Zero Dawn, I hope to get several more hours in before midnight tomorrow, because after that it's sadly going to sit there for a while, because I'm sorry Alloy, you're wonderful, you're strong, you're beautiful, I love you so much, but Zelda will always be my first love.
Yes.
So
right there with you. It's sitting on my PlayStation 4 hard drive waiting to be played.
Yep.
Don't think it's going to be played for quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
But when I get a chance, oh yeah, it's on, Colin. It's on.
Mm-hmm.
When everybody's messing around with Mass Effect 3 and that, or 4, whatever, yeah, I'll still have Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
So, it's almost time, Colin.
I know, it's so close.
25 hours and 54 minutes.
Do you have a timer on your watch?
No, I'm just looking at the clock.
Math, yo.
Math, yo. This has been a fun week, Colin.
Yeah.
We should do this again next week.
I guess we could do that.
We're going to talk all about the Switch. All about the Switch.
We won't be switching it up.
No. It will be a show dedicated to the Switch. And that should be fun. Maybe we'll have a guest or two.
That'd be cool.
We'll see. We'll see what we could do. Colin, where can people find you at?
They can find me on the Twitters. You can find me at PDX_geek. If you get a Nintendo Switch, tweet at me. I will add you. And then when games are online, we can actually play together.
Is that how that works?
Yep.
Okay. Yes,
Just so you know.
We'll talk all about that next week and make some new Nintendo friends and that kind of stuff. So, you can find me personally on Twitter at The Noise with a Y. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Joys of Games. You could email us, joysofgames@gmail.com. Everything we do is over at toysforgames.com. And if you'd like to support us and what we're doing here at the network for you guys, the community, you could do so over at Patreon, patreon.com/toysforgames. Colin, we're just going to go hibernate for a while before
for
I
not
go
too long,
to
just
Best
a day.
Buy at midnight tomorrow and pick up my Nintendo Switch, which will be the last gaming console I ever need to own. It's going to be glorious. It's about time.
Yes.
It feels like we've been waiting
freaking time.
forever for this.
Oh my gosh, it's been so long.
Yeah. Man, do you remember how far back that first commercial was?
October?
October.
Oh my gosh.
We have not been waiting that long.
I don't know. We kind of have been because Iwata, rest in peace, announced it like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. Man, what a prankster that guy was.
Yeah.
What a way to go out. He's just like, I'm just going to make these suckers sit on this for 2 years. 2+ years.
Goofed us.
Done goofed us. Iwata. Rest in peace. Thank you for listening. Had a fun time talking about PlayStation. Next week, it's all about the Nintendo Switch. Not the games, just the console. The experience that is the Nintendo Switch. Till next week, go play some games and enjoy them. Good night.
Go get your Switch.